watching Facebook, Street is watching on Facebook na ABN Radio 1. ABN Radio 1. And also obeti enka hona bibia so atumi akoye. Na okọ YouTuber. Hey, nyasam get to akra. MYBET.AFRICA TV. MYBET.AFRICA TV. Ewo YouTube. Pepe nyasam get to akra. Na TikTok no. sports.arena.news. sports.arena.news. TikTok. Na baby ayedi black market no. Black market no. Anyasam get to akra odofo. And only a sports arena or Telegram. Joining your honor fee and new shimona baby and soon day. And Kuyenti and Shana, money man and trust and fee on finding me from or my better education, nothing be beyond and to me day. And Kuyi be transfer news in him. Hey, yes, sir, Branta, your friend. Rodrigo. Ha, Aquan or your move. Rodrigo is making a move. Rodrigo is making a move. Chelsea supporters be brave. And ya break, say. What share a year toward Bolly Mubefa team now so much and big signing via omunye statement or put your kind of statement signing to statement signing the statement signing na abratia ye freno Rodrigo Goes obetimi abo left obetimi abo right me I believe grass obetimi abo as a false nine profile na Chelsea hwehwe to me born pepe. Name your other factors at Chelsea share before almost sign player. The transfer fee, any a year a brantiano, Nisika or Beji, because Chelsea will way structure beer or move follow. And Nina said PSR be one also BT. And umbe BT and was almost near the elbow of Fermanti. Chelsea team, almost just getting in our young go for Chelsea one a person of Pamo as soon as possible. Chiwa money, yes, style money at the Adina. Chelsea back clear money at the idea. Then the big cousin and not styling our books in Mudia. And a mofa just one pair, Mofa Rodrigo no, and mesh a yes styling position ho, not only the styling air the engine. Now, the styling engine crown has a door so crossing the Abranti and a bar, AB or Beji. You better dynamics no. Near there's a Chelsea, a bear day, a bear find exceptions and now because say why been saying na okwa kofa obi say Van Dijk. Now there was no way Van Dijk ever free agent. Or by Jessica Ketuebi. What you say? Not just Obama more than the wage near the air cano, way structure no. Call Van Dijk, my mobile by budget 300,000 pounds a week. Into your better as a Chelsea tries or sign Van Dijk payer. Obeti Mashano. A yet waiting and a better dynamics in your beat Marco. Mohamed Kudus. Hey, I brought an journey to Tottenham Hotspurs. And easy. Iti abrantia no na Chelsea 4 year mwadwensa nka odi nka ontwen na nka omumpia aye madueke nkona ko mefa na abrantia se dabi aye Tottenham Hotspur na mepe iti ne Tottenham fo ne aye West Ham fo awia okwakoye medicals na fa bibia so atumi ayede akoye me no ka say de Man United amanfo se ne me mikofia obo se we kom udi amu no se na oba onka Man United asam Munkrofo we mu ba mu nka Man United asam ne ade a Man United bibia nu ho bibia nu ebeka onua dedade yebeka so mu pe mbamu Chelsea assigned 2 players still omo da so na mbamu ye nim de ankofo no mu patch and the players they want to sell no so no ayeden papa you see Juventus scrap you know cry say nya no cry you see sa ni na enya no cry Tiebe said, what is going on in Man United? Na Arsenal, and you be call Arsenal team ni mu. Because Arsenal for line up na nkofo na ye se on person mo de oban. Kai who say Rodrigo Goes no so Arsenal for ni etita ho. Almost also pe Abrante friend Eze mo. Osina kai de Crystal Palace. Afa so mo pe Jokeres. Ye be hwe say Arsenal betumi aye sa signings we nyina almost betumi beat aye PSR na. Ye behwe na afi ye de nyina nkomo nyina tumi de abre eti ye nhwe na afi Abrante a ye friend money man entrance na onfa yin real eye my better education mo join ni nyina mo de a na momfa madwen kyerɛ Chelsea akɔ final saso na boboko a yɛfrɛ no Paris Saint-Germain akɔ wan na ɛhyɛ wan na ewinie ɛwɔ sɛ MYBET for momra na mofa coupons ni bi mra yɛmfa nkyɛ momra mofa coupons ni bi mra na yɛmfa nkyɛ yadɔfo na bibia so no entumi enkoye money man memo akɔ aba
yeah list to me also
bibia kama de
bibia kama
yɛnhwɛ MYBET education final no mo nhyehyɛ bi ɔmo de brain na set sɛ ne ade a na yɛtwɛn asɛ final ne bɛba no den na yɛ expect.
Yes, come MYBET dia wonim so mo no me betting platform a ope baby a obedi ska pa MYBET.AFRICA indra be boss wo ha se ope baby a obedi ska MYBET.AFRICA mo bi anda da omo pe no bet builder option mu ede ofa selections ba ko mienu pe na odds ni mu apagya nti indra bet builder am de ma hwefo se Paris Saint-Germain win or draw over 2.5 second half 0.5 corners of 7.5 and a bookings of your friend is saying 2.5 nini na boy into one game meet me 5 selections if you are not in 2 for the time biano bet builder option here optional a game changer amount upe baby a enye gidigidi se okwa akofa 20 teams 30 teams there be out of just 5 teams bet me 30 odds 50 odds 1000 odds into NAT na register MYBET.AFRICA ko www.mybet.africa oko top right corner be hu icon be a circle no green umia so a be hu register and a login me register ne so 3 steps. First one mobile money number or the transaction BB. Send out this car, bet me a yafa, boy no shema, username, bet me so nickname, feed in be a person or the show bet him that show. Now for the wabo password, nation, no me register so. On send you verification code now that verify account number be came busiano. And your bet builder option depend on them on my bet feet with a no nebia na bet shisha no only time I'd bet share bet. Into bet feet no more per aspect of my share bet to go. Ufa baako a wonso betimi a changes baako mienu wom na do sika taichi na wonso betimi a fiscal on platform so omu wi a omu de aka bonus ne san ka ho ama aka bonus ne ma 1500% into o share bet no na bonus ne mu yedu senior potential win ni ba be kese pa nti e bia na ese udi 100 cedis ba aka bonus ne be boa ma 50 cedi aba be ka na 150 senior sika ne ma ba be yedu nti ene ope be atwa bet a fiscal ma ho atowa MYBET.AFRICA ene ese o nti register na wonso be kan busua no.
Yes, inti eno ho komo na ye di no MYBET bomodin na join ye na afi bibia so no ntimi nkoye na ye mu yanhwe transfers no yanhwe transfers no now Kudus finally it appears say now confirm basically confirm. Is it a good move and can Kudus take the next step with Tottenham Hotspur?
Yes, I think so. If you Kudus move now, is one of the best move any young player bet me a take. You mean who's unkofo be castle in case of Chelsea in case of Chelsea derby. Chelsea team the pressure war and any pressure kitwa. Especially a young player person with team do the highest level in football no. Chelsea team near the back meaning say kusuki pressure no. And akwa kusuki sa pressure no. Ese with team ball at your top game. You name himself last season when put up a good performance at West Ham. Kudus a name no signing his first season. West Ham na performance no was show but last season na performance no fem nti ene onya just a little stepping stone na e betimi aboa na enim se umuvi ko Tottenham a den se obefi Tottenham ko Chelsea biom ana obefi Tottenham ko Arsenal nti ene Kudus mfanto ni trim se a move to Chelsea a move to Arsenal ade ba ko a efi ni books mu ontimi moving ko this any class because Tottenham ye team bia on person oton man rivals nko ndem ko beton ama abontin so ni nti ene a big move emano Oshe Thomas Frank set up or the ball Brentford last season with 2 formations, that is a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Into these were 2 formations and not Thomas Frank. In him so a coach be our try 3-back system that time and not person defensively solid, not upon a 3-back and a 5-back. Benny watcher say or a coach will beat me about a lot of dynamics, especially when it comes to the game. To Kudus, it's either the right wing position and at the number 10 or the CAM position and they are available so beat me room. We have players or more as at now or Tottenham was our room. Madison, Kulaszewski, and now say player friend Brendan Johnson. These are quality players, but I think Kudus will upper hand ahead of them.
Yeah, in terms of the left wing,
the right wing. The right wing say no.
Yes, the right wing.
The 10. Yes, these are.
And I think that is what a man struggle with.
No, back to
West Ham.
West Ham the second season I'm born from the left wing because of Bowen.
But even the first win, because of Bowen, you know, they didn't allow him to play left wing one anchor. And number 10 is they didn't allow him to play because of Paqueta.
Yes.
So I think he's now West Ham there, and I think that me can say a waste of time. But it's I just a slow no.
Yes.
Looking at the promise I know there, but and Konya number 10 no cool chop set or wow. Nanka Ebian go bet me improve by now.
Yeah.
Then they were using him. So I think that now he's getting at the end of because it is obvious that Chelsea at the end of will choose Tottenham or Spurs ahead of Chelsea.
Okay, so her choosing Tottenham ahead of Chelsea. Me explain this idea we say if I'm even Mohamed Kudus, me a Chelsea fan, me a Ghanaian, but I'll tell him to choose Tottenham over Chelsea. Coming into this Chelsea setup, no, ejinanyama me so. One, or buy into the Chelsea setup to play maybe as a right winger or as a number 10 or maybe as a left winger. These are three positions are obetimi ejine mwabo. And over these three positions are the number 10 will Kopama adjust position aboso. Those Chelsea will a lot of competition, but Sisi and Kudus development no on here bibi to say game time. On here bibi say game time say bia Obimbo binombo Carabao ni FA Cup ni all those little games there be on here full game. And on the right wing no obi to say a star view eba Chelsea afa say or a one promising player or my games on person munya the best out of him. Ye nim say player beat Pedro Neto into your one quality player this season FIFA Club World Cup upon home day. Into this our rules are could do say be more a bad thing so be two players we mo. Into going to Chelsea no ade ba kwa nke be ha development e be coming into a team like West Ham and are coming into a team like Tottenham ade ba kwa be born because Thomas Frank coach bia opeso allow the players sa ball career na ade ba kwa pe nti so call for a 4-3-3 formation obetimi abo Kudus any other player as the double number 8 double number 10s no and now so call for a 4-2-3-1 obetimi abo Kudus as the number 10 no nti I think Tottenham a stepping stone man I dare say timi born as a player and it's a one Tottenham no will move it to no say timi born no timi developing who ye they are playing in the Champions League Ombebo Premier League Ombebo like 5 different trophies I bet me abo and so timi put up a good performance ma Tottenham in the Champions League open another door. You name say Tottenham. Moving from Tottenham to Spain, moving from Tottenham to any other bigger club, easy man because Obi name say Tottenham a team here. They are more of a selling club. You who the likes of Luka Modric, the likes of Gary Bale, the likes of Harry Kane moving from Tottenham to bigger clubs. I think Tottenham is a good stepping stone for him. So bet me free Tottenham. Enya maybe the Real Madrid, enya maybe the Barcelonas, enya maybe the Bayern Munich, the bigger clubs no. One thing because Tottenham the way player now modern bonus so you know be the sky emu eduba ombeja our marco na Tottenham mostly no omo nyet say the West Hams the Brightons more as skaba ombetwetwe ho ma transfer na delay I think it's a good move for him to see Abibia Babejina and say in his first training session obebo under Thomas Frank na so timi no because Thomas Frank ehu Kudus as Damsgaard senior the way I Brentford Damsgaard timi hold the ball and drive the ball no from the center to the third half of the game no and no who Kudus munti name who say or cast on to Kudus na nyemo because that is one thing who Kudus so obi obetimi drive the ball ni ye etimi kuta ball no from maybe your half into the opponent's half etimi asen shoot here that is a player Mohamed Kudus mount say bianca they were looking at the player Thomas Frank say be or set up with that 4-3-3 and no ball or Brentford no bebo maybe Damsgaard any Norgard any maybe a number 6 Mohamed Kudus a big man Mohamed Kudus a man that Damsgaard role no then a player like your friend is saying Papi Sarr and a player like we a friend is saying feed this man Besuma a man that type of defensive works box to box in Jabeb 1 year. Okay,
so you are saying sir because of Chelsea moving you are looking at the players be now.
Yes.
Is it not opportunity for Kudus to tell all of them that look maybe in Bobo
same yes
Opama or me the same and I think that it is about the chance you get and what you do with the chance.
Yes.
Right? So Obi to say Joao Pedro. Realize that players be brave, but also Chelsea call a friend or you work away. And this is the attitude of Brazilians. They are not scared of any move. They don't care. the moment almost like some be sorting it out anyway, they are not looking at obi be benching. Nanka wonye sure sanka ne Kudus G2 mu say obeba Chelsea because they nyina in terms of pedigree and bigger club. Tottenham unity penny Chelsea.
Yes.
And playing Chelsea no and they know to say ebi wabo Liverpool, wabo Man United, wabo Barca, no wabo the wabo big club.
Yes.
Who so be to me they bobra. I feel now Tottenham thinking say you get a bigger club than Tottenham Hotspur. Why don't you take the chance, come to Chelsea, show that you can bench almost all the attacking players, then take your position like Joao Pedro is here. Is it that Usra now said then?
There be and so I think nyama mienu ni agent no ene ni bedi nkomo on the possibilities or the availability of rules at Chelsea team. I think senka Chelsea and call for getting sir. Kudus could have come into this Enzo Maresca setup ebe fiti. I didn't make us say who say Enzo Maresca adapted the style of ne winger bako ebeba about those half spaces. Then ne fullback now overlapping. Into nka Kudus signing for Chelsea. That means Kudus bet me about the left wing position obebe mu as a number 10 in those half spaces na Cucurella overlapping. Into no say either with Pedro Neto or Estevao be occupy that is a left wing position. But then they get in Saba. Meaning getting a player be or touching line anymore. Until Enzo Maresca going forward no obey na dream say either the left way the right winger no emumbeba into the half spaces no because in him says Estevao that is the rule of pay into obeba into the half spaces na Cucurella atina as the third centre back maybe Augusto or Regimes be overlapping or Cucurella bebemu as into the half spaces, not getting inside touch line. Into share the availabilities of roles and what Chelsea team room for Mohamed Kudus I wouldn't advise him to go to Chelsea because as of now, no, the way a coach is set up in 3 different formations, no, their players are their quality helps that particular formation that Mohamed Kudus. Into any Tottenham aba not coach ni profile as a Damsgaard type of player. Say you get a good time I was Tottenham, you play with the likes of Song Muni Wim. Yenim say Obi Abeka so Tottenham they be on board check, Obi free her. But in the next season, next 2 seasons, the performance no was sure. Clubs like Real Madrid here left with a right wing back, a right winger. Barcelona do say Lamine Yamal occupy that position, but they
never know. Injury
left winger. Yes. Teams beat say Bayern Munich, any the rest in here left winger. So if Otimi put up a good performance, next season, next 2 seasons, the likes of Mohamed Salah, Mukrai free Liverpool, he can go in as a right winger. So Tottenham, club be a good stepping stone for him. But Adebakwa Mekan say he moving from Tottenham to Chelsea, moving from Tottenham to Arsenal, Adebakwa into Mincy. So meaning to beat me in the Premier League now, maybe the likes of Manchester City, a performance in the Kosura, the likes of Liverpool, a performance in the Kosura, and Real Madrid can come in and say next 2 seasons, Ibeun Kudus making a big move from team a friend at Tottenham.
Okay.
Yes, in Tienche, Damsgaard also moving to Arsenal. I think she said about Norgard, yes, sorry. Norgard moving to Arsenal. She said about official or joining Arsenal. No more bisa and say about Arsenal no. Adeba compare ne Danny Nisua Onya obey or say or feeling collaborating na Champions League Adeba ku Onya pesobo. Inti no crack can be no movie to Arsenal. Inti Adeba ku everyman in Yaji. Say hearing that Champions League song on the Champions League night of Bebo Arsenal. Ye need himself with the transfers na the Nyama be buy. It affected a player like Thomas Partey. It affected players be Arsenal and the Arsenal experience. It's saying I'm changing himself Thomas Frank a more of a box to box player. No guard coming to Arsenal. More of you say more of in Kofobi who say oh he's a Thomas Partey replacement by Derby. I think he's a player coming in now. Obeba Bois, Declan Rice. Games or more say they don't need Declan Rice no. Damsgaard will come in and maybe a more Champions League game on Wednesday or a bigger game on Sunday, Saturday. Damsgaard beat me up him to rest Declan Rice because I'm the same profile as Declan Rice. Box to box, defensive, any BBI very solid. Obet me up the likes of Zubimendi Monso in that 6th row. No? And he can also play as a number 10. Into him fin training now, Obet me up baby. He's one player when it comes to your setup. Otimi Buama Nyama Koye into Nuntina Arsenal, so I'm the team. Because of her player said Partey ni ho say we Declan Rice and ebia injury and BBTC mo betimi ejinima say even say Odegaard performance ni this no he obi abemu in those games obetimi abem there are games betimi who say Arteta be caught with Damsgaard and also your friend is saying Damsgaard, Odegaard, and Declan Rice because he had that midfield stability. No, send your Odegaard beat me and more of the number 10 getting into the box. In he signing for Arsenal. Yeah, the back who are annually my Arsenal team. They've gotten a quality player, a player who has Premier League experience and age-wise. Yeah, the back where Buano now his performance. Yeah, the back where it was really coming into this Arsenal setup. No, beat him that experience. About the bomb.
Me sure you. Now me sure they say. Has there ever been in the last 5 years? Has there ever been a player from the Premier League joining a Premier League side that were flopping?
I think I think maybe you get one or two, but better than say getting those top players to be able to.
So what sign? Maybe I remember say Liverpool was signing Jota. Liverpool was signing Shaqiri.
Yes.
Liverpool was signing Van Dijk. Look at almost a hit.
Yes.
Man United almost signed Obifi.
I think maybe the only player made me account Enumpono Ocean records with Enyamo Beye any trophies or GA ultimately classifying as a failure. Maybe Fernando Torres from Liverpool to Chelsea.
I'm looking at the last maybe 5 years in recent times. In recent times, player fee every Premier League in my back.
Another club.
What we are a step way. Maybe I remember as a Grealish.
Okay.
Grealish. But what do you mean that's why? Because OJ Treble and he was instrumental. Yehun Golo Kante, Yehun Mahrez, hardly this midfielder.
Maybe drink water from Leicester to Chelsea.
Oh, okay.
Maybe drink water from Leicester to Chelsea. Maybe Michel. Apart from that, I think
this player they know what Leeds United they are about Man City. But no crown
Calvin Phillips.
But no crown where man playing time on more. But it appears that we should show man now unyabo tre. Now we call lower league now munu unya player na next step na I think say Obon homo dem like you can clearly see look who share Joao Pedro because on Chelsea team no abo for a very long time. Now we can there. So let's see how it will go.
Transfer we gymnast now so I'm come across no Victor Yokre senior Nyama kon one lucky Arsenal for the before we try free the transfer because Sporting for stretch especially with Sika omo person money Sporting especially payment term. But I think say this issue with Victor Yokres any identity Arsenal and Sporting a bread to come into a negotiation is based on Arsenal one of the to me one of the biggest mistakes in this transfer market. Identity make us say in a transfer window you go for your priorities, your high priorities first. Your high priorities, no make sure say wait me and you. And nothing I last time Beckham has said, see who's a Chelsea outgoings in baby because they are looking at getting the players on person munya a baby moontem. Into outgoings ni later no sha okay Sterling ya obi am beton on loan. Maybe Joao Felix ya obi am beton on loan. They'll make sure say ombe you me free mu, but on Chelsea lesser priority now affecting a high priority transfer. I didn't make us say Sporting for Arsenal cost Sporting for with the negotiations okay so see a player club no there is a confusion into taking advantage of it. Taking advantage of it no per se o stretchy payment plan no, to make sure say wow as a club. But Sporting for who say only Chelsea didn't come out are ready to bid 50 million for Noni Madueke. Into any Chelsea scour
okay.
Into no you want to take advantage of the player now who say any relationship are breaking then get a good payment plan. I think Ushe Arsenal initial bid for Noni Madueke it was also a transfer blunder for me. A player who agrees or person or team. A club is now being forced to now sell their player. Until you go in with an initial bidder, it will either frustrate Noni Madueke or frustrate Chelsea. Now the club will now okay and you don't go in with a 50 million as your initial money to pay because as of now Chelsea are more chances of value Noni Madueke the same as Elanga to Newcastle that is 55. Intene so go in with 50 Chelsea for almost best 3 or team because on him say obetimi push you am way to 60. So when to 60 now you can pay 55 with add-ons of 5. I think that Noni Madueke initial bid or Noni Madueke rumors on 50 Arsenal for Real Madrid say they will pay has got to affect Victor Gyökeres transfer. You know? And now Arsenal are frustrated because Victor Gyökeres would be one key addition to their team. You know, Arsenal team now they ba kwa hwere omo air strikers. So Timinya Gyökeres no money 20 goals, 30 goals. I think the likes of Saka Mudi become one. It can get them the Premier League title. It can get them into crucial stages in the Champions League. The transfer, say Sporting for Intimian go Nyamama, Arsenal would walk away. If Arsenal are walking away, meaning say now their only option aka Benjamin Sesko no. The player has been overpriced at 90-100 million. Would they walk away from Gyökeres and go in for Benjamin Sesko and also make Madueke their priority? And Arsenal. So yeah, but I think say if Arsenal wanted to add some players into their setup, especially looking at being second in the Premier League, going into the semi-final of the Champions League, and now bettering these two positions, Rodrigo at Real Madrid, time when a start in the FIFA Club World Cup, say he is willing to move. If you are willing to go for Noni Madueke for 50, you can go for a Rodrigo at 80, a Rodrigo at 70. I think Real Madrid will be willing to sell. Because as of now, there are a lot of holes in the Real Madrid setup. A Real Madrid game, which they need to add players. I think that Noni Madueke Ababe now a priority. I don't think that Arsenal started season, they were doing their transfer plans. Now Noni Madueke come transfer plans. So Baba Bete, okay, agents, any Arsenal and Arteta might mean a good relationship, so they are looking at the player. So now they need to get him an initial bid of 50. Chelsea would at least take a 55 plus 5 million add-ons. Chelsea wouldn't take anything less than 55 plus add-ons. Arsenal would have a lot to pay, especially in this transfer window at Sporting and so Juno Mokon for a player like Victor Gyökeres. With just the few days, you name himself Real Madrid and so FIFA Club World Cup, so they are looking at one or two things. I think yesterday's results was a blessing in disguise to them, to let them understand the team or more rebuilding. They need to add players. They should take away that perception of Real Madrid will go into games and win. There are a lot of add-ons. There are a lot of art they need to add. I think Xabi Alonso will perform here in the La Liga next season. So our Galactico mindset of getting Galacticos into the team and playing everybody to be happy. They need to take out and now look for accurate players that would come into the team and help. Me who said now they are negotiating on I think Navarro, we are friends saying I think Caracas or something from Benfica, yes. And he'll be a good addition to their setup. If they can do that and do one or two transfers and Nyama Betimi Akoyi on Chelsea, so I think now Mohamed Kudus a free picture. So if Noni Madueke is to go, Chelsea would look at Senya Dan Beka. Chelsea wouldn't look at bringing in a right winger. They are looking at bringing in a left winger. It's be that between Yildiz, Malik Fafana. These are two players. Maybe they can try and push in for Rodrigo. So Mufili said the player is ready to reduce his salary and be below 200,000 there.
I'm not sure it will not happen. You know it.
No, but see, Rodrigo watching it.
And you said watching say, Real Madrid maybe a person born in on you. But Rodrigo, somebody now even Liverpool want a winger.
Yes, Intino and I make us and watching based on say so. But Liverpool, he wouldn't take more than Mohamed Salah. He wouldn't take more than Virgil van Dijk. Or but Chelsea, he wouldn't take more than Reece James. If you are not taking more than these players,
Liverpool. It appears that they are no want to move. Yes. It is clear. Yes. So either Barca or Bayern Munich.
But I think Barca
and even Bayern Munich can go in for Rodrigo. And Bayern Munich are in a position. They are in a position to pay him even amount that way or so in terms of saying watching, say in a contest, Madrid and watching, but say moving movie away. A lot of options. Yes, a lot of options.
He's a quality player.
He's a Brazilian and can even attract transfer from Saudi. Man is a beer or share.
So I think say now, Xabi Alonso, I say he not playing was a tactical decision, but I think what is going on behind closed doors, I don't know why he didn't get even a minute against Paris Saint-Germain. Time and still he didn't get a minute. But we'll be looking at what he will do. Send your kind of Liverpool, Bayern Munich, even Chelsea, Arsenal still are in the conversation. But I think he's a quality player. It's a good move. So you beat me stable. Osha Real Madrid team, he has been underrated for long.
Okay.
So moving to a club, he will become like a big figure in it. Especially for the Brazilian national team going into the next World Cup.
All right.
Yeah. List to my main share for now. Some more, but things now the transfer market, most of the teams are starting pre-season. So whoever wants to go into a year, the pre-season with all the new signings, they've started signing some of the players in Bibina, so if a year or more. But now I think that I want to start the transfer with Mohamed Kudus a deal to a Tottenham Hotspur and how he can impact Tottenham team, and definitely you need him how coach and they Thomas Frank won the ball always a ball with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Always he likes players are on board the left side, right side, and also at the striker should be able to do a counter attacking football. Until actually team now over the years when Shade, Ivan Toney, and Mbuemo, Ivan Toney Koye, which I be replacing very fine, and Mbuemo has been the spark for the team from the left side. Now Thomas Frank a free Brentford about Tottenham Hotspurs. In fact, check it Tottenham team now. They have an exciting young players in terms of defense, midfield, attack, but Mohamed Kudus as a player and as a profile. In fact, any more the front three and also as the number 10 role, he can play. The last time I became Mohamed Kudus as when Mika said right to dream for call a year the tournament money money project for Kobo Norway. I think me feeding there. They went to play this Gotia Cup. Yes. Kudus videos never out and Kudus strategy before if you never been a chance I Ghana under 17. They were playing him as the number 9. Monica said Kudus there. In fact, even at Ayas, Albanian peak or Champions League for Huno. He played almost a season as the false 9. MYV Netherlands for no raising questions to the coach. Say why is Brian Brube Netherlands true and true as a number 90 bencher and the Kudus as a false 9. At that time they had also had Anthony there, also another important player for them. So I think say Mohamed Kudus, whether he plays from the left, whether he plays from the right as a number 10 or as a false 9, Kudus attributes say so Jiboa. He can carry the ball, he can take on players, he can dribble and or that power to shoot from anywhere. In fact, Kudus bar a West Ham last season compared to this season in terms of goals, in terms of assists, Nina at the pay and our drop it in form. In fact, to check Mohamed Kudus goals are this season and last season or share. I think last season or share 8 goals. This season was share 5 goals. Last season we provided 6 assists, and at this season we provided just 3 assists. In terms of say dribbling attempted, say Kudus him so Jiboa or between last season or attempted 206 dribbles. This season we attempted 195, and then the percentage for last year dribbles or attempted the successful dribbles that is the dribble success rate was 57.4, and at this season 47 point, which means we're reducing almost 10 is it 1% and Abibisa from any percentage on last season. So it tells you that and ultimately blaming Mohamed Kudus because individually and as a collectively the West Ham team were not at the level and last season or more. So collectively if things are not going well, team player and also the performance drop said this season Mohamed Kudus struggled a lot, but then he's coming into another team. They are going to play in the Champions League and he's going to fit into the Tottenham team. The record and also the link between him and Chelsea. The last time Mane Eclair said Chelsea asked West Ham about Mohamed Kudus, the availability, even if they want the boy, how much are they going to pay? But Chelsea ain't open talks with Mohamed Kudus agency because the last time I just said Kudus, every agent are not managing a roof. ROF, that is the same agency Germany Ernest Tuyama and so Hobby. and or call that agents in Chelsea and in the reps Mohamed Kudus agents and any representatives agent come about personal terms but Tottenham Hotspur any Abrantana is who several stories that people are saying say Arsenal for any noni Madueke I agree personal terms but Arsenal any player I agree personal terms before they even made the official approach to Chelsea. That was Enra reporting by but Chelsea had made contact with West Ham and the last time remember the reason why West Ham for Nansan they don't normally want to sell their players to West Ham because of Adebayo issues. Now Adebayo West Ham or French and Pochettino West Ham wanted to buy him. They didn't want Adebayo because Daniel Levy one president or no a ban rival in sema he or I say or chimu 10 time we are the rival a bear dempa Obertoni player at the amount. So West Ham, for example, only Tottenham Hotspur. This be national commenter from West Ham to the last player West Ham turn. A call Tottenham was Scott Parker. I mean, no, Fulham coach, you know. So West Ham, they didn't want to sell the boy to Tottenham. If any other thing, it's me progress here. It's me 1 or 2 deals be with Mohamed Kudus camper, and the club would prefer to sell Mohamed Kudus to that club. But here as the case with Chelsea side, they have Pedro Neto. They have Noni Madueke, and they also have William Estavella also Urban next season. And in fact, at that role, the Kopama can also play at that position. Now, Chelsea for now, my say they would want to keep 8 to 9 attacking players, but as of now, they amateur 2 attacking players. And I become the current one. Clear and obvious. Magui and Tarek George will go. Now they have made 3 additional new signings to old attack Jimmy Gittins, Liam Delap, and Joao Pedro Ediomaba. If they want to do another additional signings, because of the PSR issues, any UEFA sanctions are about in recent times, they would have to offload some of the players, especially where Mohamed Kudus is coming to play. In Tene, Minikanka said Kudus can play from the right side. He can play. Normally, he likes to say Obebo from the left side. Obetima Bass number 10.
Yeah, but sure. Say he's coming to play at the left.
Yes, and America say there are on set Chelsea in recent times.
At the right.
Yes,
yeah,
top. Yes, right. But then Chelsea for them make it and say they want player Obetima from several sides. But now with the inclusion of Joao Pedro, and coach Enzo Maresca can say he can play as a second striker, as a number 9, and also from the left, and also as the number 10 in the role. So now, if Chelsea wants to sign Mohamed Kudus, the reason why they couldn't even talk to the player among reaching agreements before Tottenham say they have to offload players. Right now, all the Mohamed Kudus bar, you have 3 left-footed wingers with the inclusion of Estavio Willian. And then about that number 10 role now, Estavio Willian, watching interviews, he also prefers them consumable through the middle. So you have a lot of players that moment Kudus role, and as a player, Kudus money clear say he wants to play for a club in the Champions League. And with Tottenham Hotspur winning the Europa League, they are going to play in the Champions League. Now, Team Onene agree first. Let me come to Tottenham Hotspur setup and how Mohamed Kudus is going to help them. And if I was from Mohamed Kudus starts and to some especially Mohamed Kudus dribbles attempted success in the Premier League, and the number of players that almost attempted that number of dribbles no tikobeti mama na kesa mia, and they dribbles attempted in the Premier League last season. Mohamed Kudus attempted more dribbles than any other forward and any other player in the league.
Is it a year so important in the scheme of things in the current games now? You're born say a player, you'll be at the end of the season, you'll be judged by the number of take-ons instead of maybe at the number of assists, number of goals, any other.
Didn't you maybe because I say as a winger, you see there are players at the end of the season, they create chances. How much chances don't make creating? There are players they are playing with are not able to convert the chance. So anytime there, sometimes if you are buying a winger, now all the goals and assists no eko kasa plenty you are ube judge player no wrong, and the player scout how the quality and the attributes of player in the ball team no you'll be wrong about that numbers in terms of goals and assists. Obi anu say Mohamed Kudus or West Ham. If you need a winger in the first place, ade onya o winger and say o winger no e be take you no create space e dey am other players. That is the most important. And apart from the goals and assists, no, there is a reason why at first now wingers here for goals and judge wingers, but in recent times the money and Salama babe yintino. It go to a time Hazard ebabe free Chelsea. The last season no man double figures in goals and assists. And then Hazard with Chelsea. There were no season being apart from the last season or provided more than 40 goals involvement in goals. Season be able to Hazard was 10 goals or provided maybe 12 or 15 assists. But then he can win games handedly. Ultimate carry ball from a chair at when a ball more than so as a winger or to winger. Most of the times, Jenfa goals and assists and fan top players no. Who the in recent times wingers are teams be not Toma. Now wing players are mobile. We the likes of Kylian Mbappe and even Dembele before Beba Barcelona and now before Barcelona Ababe PSG. The best ever career at Barca. The best ever career at Barca. He scored just 14 goals. So with Mohamed Kudus then, with the first season, the number of goals Onya and if Onya a team that can play to the strength, Onya a coach will be improving. In the first season, Oshe 8 goals, he provided 8 assists. And if Onya a proper team, a proper striker beats me a slotting in that goes their manner, it means that the numbers no, will increase. So definitely, to a striker, and I say a winger, the entire ball come ring and say the ball amount 1v1 situations. That is the most important thing we hear from a typical winger. So when this starts, nature say he attempted more dribbles, especially for a West Ham team a low block. So imagine he's going to play for a Tottenham side. You know how Tottenham were playing last season. Definitely they are going to play total football against for Thomas Frank team. No, they have home and son. If they are going to play that counter-attacking football, you will need this dribbles attempted. You need a player ultimately ebe carry ball and they virus on far another start and so mama this is a top 20 players
on the start the virus so the better so am fuller Ushe starts now. I think say I don't know the maybe if it's to attempted dribbles, but I think Ushe starts now he's below a lot of players.
The stats no
attempted
dribble and the success
percentage.
There is just one player in the Premier League and successful dribbles attempted than Mohamed Kudus. That is Eberechi Eze.
Yes, but it was stats now. We are friends and Brian Mbemu better seen.
Mbemu 47%.
Yes, and Kudus of 47. Mbemu try 111. That is lesser than Kudus. They are not trying, but he had a successful dribble.
So that is Mitchell said. This is player an attribute. The following season, he attempted more dribbles than any player in the Premier League. Okay. So team analysis, Mitchell said last season, the form the air then especially collectively, West Ham were not even up there. Last 2 seasons, you cannot compare Brandon Mbeumo and Eberechi Eze. All these players, Brandon Mbeumo had a fantastic. This is a player or share 20 goals, close to 20. Is it 20 goals? Mbeumo, close to 20, more than 30 goals involvement for Brentford last season. So you look at Mohamed Kudus' attribute and the team he's going to join. And virus, in fact, top 20 players, dribbles succeeded and fouls drawn. And for Mami, the only player. The top 5 Europe and had players are omutimi dribbles no was succeeded omusansunya fouls than Mohamed Kudus was only Lamine Yamal 160 and the fouls also draw was plenty no list now. You see Jimmy Gittins inside Ubehu Vinicius Junior, you see Olise, and it tells you that the player no all if you know good players around him, the system a coach if they can improve him as a player, definitely there's going to be an improvement for Mohamed Kudus game. Now he's going to join team at the Tottenham Hotspur. In fact, the places are players on them Dejan Kulusevski, Odobert, and Bernard Johnson in recent times and also more enable that role for Tottenham Hotspur. Now Kulusevski, there are several games Tottenham have got a 4-3-3 system. Kulusevski eka one of the double number 8, double number 10 in the game, and then either they are going to play Bernard Johnson from the right side, and as maybe their young chap Odobert and so ever. Now, if Mohamed Kudus going into the system, it means that he can still play alongside Dejan Kulusevski in the same team. Now, and they obi to say Yan Bisuma. The contract sense no, it doesn't look likely say be our bet now. There's a likely say obet me movie. And they Thomas Frank come here who say always a 4-2-3-1 system. And he can use Mohamed Kudus like the way also Brandon Buemo. A man benya this number of goals and your coin. If Kudus was coming to Chelsea, likely that Chelsea were going to sign him 7 plus an additional maybe 8 years contract. But Tottenham for a man 5 years, that it means that about 2 to 3 years he can still have the opportunity to move to any club any dream. So to me, I think that Mohamed Kudus going to Tottenham Hotspur is a move that the player would take a reporter or more David Oyston, Fabrizio Romano, all the porters say the player no wanted to move to Tottenham Hotspur, and then when you move, I think that he's going to be an important player for Tottenham Hotspur. If Thomas Frank it's me a Emma Branton and so the natural but and Galatasaray for Napoli for Tokan Anoish and De Laurentiis here Opanibia him say he's that no nonsense type or no bob to players who is cannot be Uniska don't come. And the relationship between De Laurentiis and the Napoli team and also Victor Osimhen, I said the player doesn't want to play for Napoli again, and he's not even going to report to the preseason. Now the 75 million euros are any release clause. No. Galatasaray for the last time I catch said there are companies in Turkey they are willing to fund that transfer for Gala to buy Victor Osimhen. Last season he's got 37 goals. He was the best player in the Turkish Super League. They want to sign the player. The player has okayed the move. Say, Opeso Onko Galatasaray. Now, the most important thing is say, De Laurentiis Samomaya say, if you are not going to pay the 77 million euros in full, we are not agreeing anymore. And Galafoni Philly say, Al Hilal and a lot of Saudi clubs are ready to splash that cash in one installment. Boom. But then the player doesn't want to move to Saudi Arabia. Now, agreement say Galafon agree say they will pay the 75 million. But I didn't say if you are not going to pay that money in installments, we are not coming. We are not releasing the player. And then all they have to do is say they have to promise De Laurentiis say Demetrius can buy ABA. You ain't any money. But then whenever we are paying the money, and I say about peace, we are paying the money in full. And that is where Osimhen Maya said he doesn't want to go anywhere rather than Galatasaray. So with Osimhen to Galatasaray move, I too close. But then there's a gap between De Laurentiis, the payment issue, and Obitise Galatasaray. Same as Obitise Victor Goycrest there, 75 million, and also Sochia. And the Sporting Fund say Arsenal for say 70, you add the 5 million. Sporting Funds no, pay all the 75 million. Na and you have a deal na bibi anko and there's a reason why I want to talk about that team because there are 2 Ghanaian players who I have interest there, Jerry Afi and recently Oma signing Christopher Bambosu. And Omo coach and Omo sporting director but say there's a reason why they want to send Aubameyang back from new Aubameyang free Akasia. They want to start almost system with young players, energetic players, and they omone maturity green of Atlanta. Omena Branton listo 68 million euros in Atlanta for Naji. And you know the funny thing is and the most exciting thing is material to go in this store. He's going to take 80 million for 4 years. It means that every year Biano or 20 million euros. So Retigui Kwako started and Jerry Free is going to have a competition with Matthew Retigui. That is
so where a winger now
no, Retigui a striker.
Yeah. And
Jerry is a winger.
And Jerry okay, Jerry.
I'm talking about Christopher Bamos winger. Yes, on Campono when he was at Genk several times, no profile as a striker. But because of the pace how tricky and pacey he is now. No more another striker, Obetima provide them. So I think that Akasia team they are still going to invest. They are one of the teams the Saudi Pro League investment for no, and so it pushes cash in. And Aubameyang is likely to come back to team and the ADA. If time or Chineba Arsenal for finally Oma announced no God. Finally, they are the number 6 role. They have their main man and they have their backup. Or be provided experience. Or be provided the quality will be provided the Premier League experience no Ediabua Zubimendi. So as now for no they are doing everything right, and then if they are able to secure another statement signing, another player will bet me I improve your more I influencing all the players I be amna Mikel Arteta 5 seasons ni without winning a trophy. Next season will be very crucial for them. At least they should try and win something. And yes, sir, the pressure will start coming to him.
Yeah, I'm going to share Indra game no. I share Indra game no now.
Yes. Yeah, I think Indra game no was one game everybody was expecting a good game between both clubs. But minim say na nkofo bebre say both teams to score likely say beat me about. But I saw the game from the aspect that I felt Paris Saint-Germain were too strong for team FN Real Madrid. Indra me can say Xabi Alonso should go in it with a 4-3-3 formation. Now before the game now news about Bontin say Alexander Arnold apike or yarinti untimi engine game no mu enye den embo. But I think me can have say between player friend of Jude Bellingham and the other Goulet, one shouldn't start the game. One thing is that these are two quality players. Any other team will beat me Rema Bonbon and your Mupeno. But that midfield battle between Vitinha, Joao Neves, and Fabian Ruiz, you need people who follow them around, people who would run with them, people who would charge them up and down. Send your bit me the best out of your midfield. But they say if you are playing with players, they are more looking at advancing, getting into the final third. No bit me you leave a whole lot of gap between that is your defensive line and the midfield line. There a lot of problem, bro. And Oshe with the lineup, there were two things I think Xabi Alonso a mistake. Yenim say lineup ne buy we were seeing Gonzalo Gracia as the number 9 and a Vinicius on the right and a Kylian Mbappe on the left. But so Oshe game no going into the game, Gonzalo Gracia was now moved to the right wing position. Senior Vinicius and Kylian Mbappe will occupy either the 9 or come into the left wing position, which I think was totally wrong. Oshe Gonzalo Gracia, he's one player or that striker presence in the box. He will be able to find strength to be able to beat any defender beating. He's good in the air. He's good with the touches. Any BBR. In Tindra with William Pacho not playing, it was a good position for Gonzalo Gracia to now get into those boxes with the likes of Bernard and also Marquinhos. I himself with these two players, so we need that pace on beating Miamachi, that young chap. And the problem Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso me kind the time I near transfer way, and he said, "Ocean the front trainer apart from Gonzalo Gracia now no pressing. Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior weren't pressing enough to help the team. Until they would lose the ball in the half of Paris Saint-Germain. Press and Paris Saint-Germain about 1 or 2 touches. Then they are into their midfield. So the likes of Jude Bellingham and Ada Goulet were not tackling enough. So game now, Jude Bellingham anytime you bet track it back about one tackle, then you see him complaining to the front players that they are not pressing enough. And that is something during the game he was trying to push his players to press, but they were not doing. In the game, people were saying, and even after time, Paris Saint-Germain scored 3 goals up, people were saying this Paris Saint-Germain will walk over every team. They will beat Chelsea in the final and a whole lot of things. But out of the 4 goals, 3 were fully defensive errors. And they were basic errors. It shouldn't happen in a semi-final game in any top competition. At the Inter-America and he said, with Asensio ball he had a good touch on the first ball. But Asensio a player, he's always trying to be more aggressive on the ball. In the time when you're touch, who said the next thing and he said he was trying to look at the forward player to now pass the ball outside than to clear the ball in your penalty area. And the man loses our ball. Then the Rudiger with the high press on some minima on the ball, trying to hit the ball across and I said then, and he got into that second goal. With this Paris Saint-Germain team, one thing they do in games, as a team be steady, especially when you are playing against them, they press and they pressure you within the first 30 minutes of the game. In two short games, the first 30 minutes, they make sure they soak every energy in you. Until you become so frustrated to the extent you start making mistakes. And until any game they play, they win the toss and they have to pass first. I'm pass the ball, then they'll start pressing you from the minute 1. Until if you are able to soak Paris Saint-Germain for the first 40-45 minutes without them getting a goal, you have a bigger advantage over them. And now in the second half, they would come at you again in the first 15-10 minutes. In the horns, you need to have a good midfield, a good wing backs, and a good winger, especially to be able to pin Hakimi back. In Tindra, I didn't make us a Real Madrid should go with a 4-3-3. I was looking at the likes of Vinicius Junior, giving Hakimi a lot of pressure to be able to now stay back and defend, because when himself patch will so now there will be a lot of pressure on Marquinhos and Bernard to now occupy those particular positions. No, but they were running away from player friend Hakimi. You could see Kylian Mbappe now going into the 9th position, Vinicius and Namunfinfio, and they were just walking all over the pitch. We're not pressing and things were not going on well. Okay, Luis Enrique, he goes into game to make sure saying Finfino very solid. In TNA, so we are going to say Udi Dembele chia or that third man ebebim. That is either Joao Neves and in Inter Miami game where he got 2 goals, and then Fabian Luis also coming into the game also getting 2 goals. So who's a Paris Saint-Germain midfielders actually goals? I mean, it's the team they are playing against, so they are not able to pressure them now to sit back, but now they are advancing into the final third. And I'm go against Inter Miami against Real Madrid against Atletico. Ultimu said now there were a lot of pressure in the midfield, especially Atletico or Depormo, but still they were able to use those players. Edu baby na Atletico for Abre. And against Botafogo, Emma the real definition of ultimate stop your wingers, no, especially Desire Day and Kvaratskhelia. Now you force Dembele to now go in and pick the ball more. They wouldn't have that number 9 present Omuhiano. That would leave your center backs free to now help the full backs to now defend well. In the Paris Saint-Germain team, no nyame nim nukrani. Enye team a memfa ne say bibia gidigidi. We've seen people now comparing them to your friend is saying they are better than the Barcelona team at Pep Guardiola Enye no kre. This Paris Saint-Germain team.
No, you don't agree with them because it's subjective. You are just comparing.
Yes, from me side, I don't agree with them because I think none of these Paris Saint-Germain players, especially with the attacking and the midfield, will start in that Barcelona setup. They wouldn't take the likes of Busquets.
Your statement for because obviously we have goalkeeper others the man goalkeeping.
No, we can't free back.
Okay,
that has been Paris Saint-Germain.
And from midfield.
From midfield they attack. That has been their greatest weapons. And Hakimi, Oshe, Xabi Alonso, Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, compared to Fabian Luis, Joao Neves, and Vitinha, in their prime, they don't come anywhere closer to them. If you want to stop this Paris Saint-Germain setup, you need to now bust the midfield and make sure you take advantage of their right back, who is their weakest link. Hakimi and their greatest weapon, but he's also their weakest link. In TNA, say Utiminya a good left winger to be able to pin him. You get the best out of them. And against Paris Saint-Germain, in Finfini is something very important for any team. In Tusha Botafogo and then Finfini where they are packed. Omuni omko boot to boot until now you leave Vitinha or Joao Neves dropping back to now Obenya space and you be to control ball. So Madrid couldn't match them in that midfield battle. Chouameni isn't that technically good to be able to mark players up and down. There was a game as Xabi Alonso got his selections wrong. Lineup was good, but he got the selections wrong. And also only Paris Saint-Germain it's either you are going with 2 type of game, the route 1 type of football. Untimi started ball in free belong to your forward player, Nonji. Against Aston Villa, against Liverpool, at Paris Saint-Germain, Elusu, that was the game, or that was the game plan, and most of the teams went with a longer ball to their striker and a midfield partnership. They can be able to battle the likes of Joao Neves anyway. But I didn't take that thing from Luis Enrique. Was setting a super team which they are playing so well. If Paris Saint-Germain will start their game, I start from Dembele. Enjoy here. There were videos going around that oppressive from the start of the game. Against Chelsea, or China into that game. Robert Sanchez on the bear Chelsea weakest link in the game. China will go into that game. Now I explain more. But I think Luis Enrique are building a good team, and the Real Madrid team, Real Madrid fans shouldn't be worried. More rebuilding stage, the coach is trying 1 or 2 things. I think we a good test Xabi Alonso to see the next season. Say if you are going with a 4-3-3 against a team or be pressure and Obebo with a high liner, it will worry you because your forward two, no, that is Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Junior are no good pressers of the ball. But I think Paris Saint-Germain getting into the final, at the back where everybody was tipping them and they were going to score a lot of goals. We are looking at that final against Chelsea.
Enzo Maresca. I think Ochina will come into
Maresca
the game.
Will come into the game. Enzo Maresca best.
Me person you share dey way. Thomas Partey issue ne ba yen kan bi.
Yeah.
Thomas Partey issue ne we dey ba yen kan bi ti. Yen hwe say e be boss so bi 2 minutes na fe. Yeah.
Okay. So with Thomas Partey issue ni yes, him said there a whole lot of conversation. Yen kan bi maybe we be doing say maybe be ntia but enye hwe. Ultimu say
timing no
yes and obianso won a perspective on the issue. You who say nkofo kasa say Arsenal for them some sabotage no. There are some Arsenal fans they are also making it understand say Arsenal believe Thomas Partey 7 times during last season and they were trying to cover him up to play. I think rape issue there nyame nim nukreni, it comes with 2 sides. It's either the person is at fault and the person is not at fault. Who says some of the players, Benjamin Mendy, some of the players are caught through. Even it got to some time, Callum was on the do a kiti, who go through the same process. I did a boy near the camera not a one fee in a boano. And the timing I get on the rough you on the time I get on the PN and it's me boano. One thing I would say is this is an issue court ekusukuta assembly more say beti me akọ. You wouldn't be able to use emotions to enter into the issue. But Adebakwa Menia Jenny Thomas Partey lawyer I clear say he would clear his name out of this. Any age 32 years now a free agent or at least 3 to 5 years in front of him or beti me about active football. Into any say unya issues we be more in say issues we it make almost 2-3 years. 1 year look here, you will now be going court up and down for the next 2-3 years. At 35, at 36, unya club are coming for you. There are clubs that they don't want to associate themselves with anybody who has had a court case about rape. Especially clubs and at the age of 35, they would come in for a player like Thomas Partey a Saudi for. We know how Saudis and now this way Saudi countries, especially we take seriousness when it comes to their females and their women in Yama. It will be a closed door for him. I think as of now, from now to the end of the season and the season will be his lawyers needs to be on their toes. Make sure say quite be also an evidence be on betimienya to be able to make Thomas Partey go free, no betimia Buamana go free. One thing I'm also against, especially when it comes to issues like this, they say then the people on their report against the player, they mostly go unknown. I know one. Maybe to protect them from abuses. Secondly, say players need a free fear. These people are not charged of accusing wrongly on these players. Benjamin Mendy or in the case nearby who free more say na case be against or signing for Laurent. If free horse say about FC Zurich or Russia. The carrier na konewe ya no. But the person who accuse you and so them freely be see and obi enim. So that is something as a players if they go through the process, now they are freer. The people are put you into this particular position. They need to also be dealt with. I think ye na ebe support Thomas Partey to make sure say bibia betimi akoye na ne ho betimi atono. Ne ho betimi ahenhan no asem ho. Senia emba be a big issue because Ghana e big interest wom. This is our key player. This one player, call World Cup near here player be to profile us. He's one of our top players playing the big teams in Europe. Very much, especially in the World Cup. So we share senya nyama betimi akọ na case ni betimi run in tem na bibia say etimi koso no e betimi akoso ama Thomas Partey etimi aye free etimi abobobio.
Okay.
Yeah, quickly on Partey issue na about another game. And I think say issue we no T report na by Ache and the Metropolitan for any people who didn't buy out and they were just they needed enough evidence to but then it was quite unfortunate say the time and the contract ended with Arsenal paying for enough evidence to call him out and then they said
not more charging
yes on the charging of 5 counts of rape and 1 sexual assault with 3 different women. I think that these issues about sometimes our court na koka bebre na wakwa third person, but I think say Thomas Partey lawyer about be denying say or code no dia boning na mu bi enu ha I mean they will accept and be say boni na to ego. So to me I think say this issues like this we play along. This is the first time in terms of Ghana you will be more ha Nasemba ubeti be an records and bibisa, but then with Thomas Partey issue no by they were reported an Arsenal player, they didn't have evidence, and in 2 to 3 years time MYBET charging. I think that I think later next month and I'll be appear in our court. So we are hoping say as a player we all support, and as a Ghanaian player we are hoping say definitely how are some of the players you be charge them na fe you be the best sentence then later on because oh yeah wrong, then at that time you who don't have Benjamin Mendy we still a lot of time. So we are hoping say signing money be into Thomas Partey.
Right, obviously the American said yeah, in recent times it has become obvious that it be my imagine say the first lady or accuse Thomas Partey or the assembly or see omoko Ibiza and whatever happened. I was omo PA or holidays to Partey the neko Ibiza or ni omoko ye di ombe ya la show no oba no say Partey a rapino sexually or harassing on ade and or they call assembly call police near there. Investigations they call NHS say lady no or no ankasa at the chat be beba eba bontene or the social media obey the obey yeah we obey church nyama be brain near there. Sa na wa call police. Our police for na investigations. Our waka say even evidence na lady no eye den. O believe say a chat between on any party no. I'm checking this Instagram account no enya party. To verify and it wasn't a party account. So it appears that Oma create account no mind Oma chatting among themselves just to implicate a party. And then ombogu we no the bar social media. Ebe ye no krenya me may one of the people are and they fan channel Twitter hono. And not realizing who say ne mental health near the other no and or deactivating account. It is only the no need baby and the excuse she brought in is the reason why a police for no and take a case or say assembly see what Spain no UK as a sound mumrabi. It no want to be in question. Meanwhile, that wasn't the case. I am realizing who say the conversation now no they bear evidence. No, the implicated party wasn't even from party account. And as I had the Ebogue. It's the first case about a another person sober. And this person, or only a party ex-girlfriend. And no, another two ladies. It's even say the ex-girlfriend. Any two ladies, no. The girlfriend say a rape. And another friend, no. Me to me who say a pattern ex no adamfo eso kire say rape and the third person ono so connected to pattern ex no so na kire say harassment, right? So it is clear. And Osha Mendy Diana, it was the same thing. I say my girlfriend ya part to me fie, right? I feel do baby ye jai. Then all of a sudden, or they call police 3 years ago, me call Benjamin Mendy fee, even party na here no crown, man enough way by after all ye me say no, ye dating or ye me say no, madam way so or ye ni say na ubon say omunyina saswa la show a man sia mo babon timbe accuse Benjamin Mendy omunya chese ye omu review CCTV cameras near the ade be pia chese say the amber it take it 2-3 years. Emma Benjamin Mendy career ended because now Branton is you know mokoje ye no work up no beje ye no na oye integral member of that team na fina na wa Man City for or the League. He was one of the best left full back in the world. because of that case in it, Man City for in terminal and no more day almost suspended no. And Odi asemna na Yakopon na dom after 3 years. Sa ensema man kato ni sunu nyina no na nya no kre. Ni ebuab abrante no kumfo. And an career and there Benjamin Mendy no. Because you cannot miss 3 years of your career after I say 22 years, 23 years. You cannot miss 3 years. Top club ya beden ebe foul. What I say? You cannot. Eti pate na aseda pate de be man Nyankopon say 32 years. The most wa born career no acha 2 3 4 years. Ti wa born majority of the career no wa bo awie and asadi we had aba. Me I have no doubt in my mind say broken heart and ache XB and why na adwin say obey sadi we dey finish Abrante no. And now the target was to what? To get him when he was in Arsenal. What I said, the target and they say our Arsenal no mo ye den omo ye because Arsenal na no oji ni di Arsenal so na no oji ska ni career mu nyina Arsenal na oji ska papa ho ti omo target no nyina say ka 3 years ago no omo nyina ba out na after first lady ne de ne ba ya omo arrest party omo investigation mu say they cannot charge him no and omo so say ne enfa ye de ne to aso it e ba ne say first person ne de na oba ye no prosecutors ne benya gidie wo mum de ni say ene akwa we de ade enyema oya no but e bia ladies ni nya evidence. So what I say because say obi ba na obeka say oh listo wo ye kronfo na o ka say o wi a wo den na nipa na tumi improve say wo wi am bibia na okọ na the following day another 2 persons bi baka say listo wo ye kronfo obe wi ya de say even po so omo bisa ne say na wo evidence oni wo nya evidence Obe start me tutu say is it them nipa miensa ababe we. So all these years Mendy dey no it didn't take long go and omo ye den omo establish omo case and omo charge no party dey no I take you almost 3 years and say no mutumi a charge no. There is no foul play anywhere. Obroni bia no ye stupid muntie ne yepa obroni bia no ye stupid obroni bia no ye stupid say ya the case are bring in 3 years. Ya tena one charging. Emreko omo no cases like this no omo no omo pe. Say wa tena ho ase party no ne ho ye omo fa na ase de ntia. No. Eye ne say mimi hu ni say eye de a omo wadwunu mu no omo nim say omo buo party kun for because omo no rape ne sexual assault no obinya de ba pe omo gitum Donald Trump dey say they be omo accusing say why bibi say but omo to improve evidence bia it the moment a man na ye train no omo aba be kan de prosecutors na dwunu mu believe say ade na si
no crack
kakra de ewum but ye ni evidence ye de be charge no but to the ye charge no na de ye nkonkohwe bibi. This is how I see it because men did the same thing omo charge no omo de call ye no they couldn't prove anything and omo send the career Abrante back your friend is Segesin. No Everton. The same thing. After 2 years, I'm go through the legal process. Segesin, then Efan who di free. Bibia sanye de NC. It Osha Sadie way. Now Osha say, Omatana wa 3 years. And son, Omobabe charging no. Actually, me say, they just want to what? And sometimes too. Partner bet me I'm more opportunity so money there. I'm charging no say na be on go through the legal process na onye there. On fan because o man charge na forever and ever. E be sinse ne kon me say yen ayedibo achi no. Asam ne ba mate se nkofo be break kanka sabasa e na wa hu Ghana ni wo ho nware no e na wakwakofo broni e na we sabi ni nyina eyejimi kasa. Odoko de odowo. Mo Ghana for man na amaba na say mu relationship na akwakoye bata pay as you go no be ma bi enu anyansa woni mu obeso sankwase and sem no so. That is the point. Iti mu besesa musuban mu sesa musuban. It's as simple as I say average Ghanaian enya obroni a obeware na eja obibini Ghanani and the reason en say ebia say anase eye wo bibini no suban wo bibini no suban what a musician akoye obo anwumi oye beat edema artist for vampire what na asem na kwantena no
only the boy manager
isi ani passe dia na kire se onware broni no ohwe vampire case na akopia antena na dia na kire se boy ni kwa so ware broni se wo ye nurse ma form show me ye bibia de ma na wo ma wo ex eda so wo o wie wa ba osa behind down the amount wa ye say o se ma boni dua say ni say we yes anyema na you are telling the normal Ghanaian say you are not fit for purpose. If you don't blame Pate say Pate akwakoye den akwakofa obroni oba. What I say, don't blame anybody say obi akwakofa obroni oba. Ali do akwafa obroni oba. Na we achu Christian achu nyankopon fa ne krase ye. No ni obroni oba na nete. Problem bi ani ho. Asamoja no ni bibini Ghana ni ba na nete. Mote ne nsam no. Mote asamoja nsam no. Amanda issue bi oni eye Jordan free akwa motete eti Ghana for man suban na muda na di no eno na epushi mema ne se omonye den omkokofa we so don't blame Pate say o ma me fa we ni Pate ni wife Morocco ni eti Pate no ye fe no Yakubu ni dindi Yakubu se munima ni wife ye Morocco ni wa warrior African. You people should spare us with your nonsense. Say more use you and no no. I'm telling you, say Pate will come out. Say you be acquitting near discharging no. Or be sign it. Nothing will happen to Pate. I'm telling you on all sincerity, say. And you will be na na adwin say. Oh no broken heart be action no. It will no be good Pate anymore say. It mo be anjam baby nga say. Na ani yetumu for say mo fa we yetumu for say. Muntu mo hofo. Utie antena ne sa programs na utie se Ghana ni oba pa den pa na ohwehwe wo wiase mu ubeye bibia de amano na ne ex da so di ubeye bibia wo wiase mu de amano na ne ex da so di nti se mu pushi mema no na omo pe mrwafo abrofo mrwafo because ono de no hia wo ho obe show laugh ene oba ka cho se sen me momo na once ne pe ka hu se oni wo wie se okase I need momo na wo chance wo do nya abotrepo oni wo wie my den ma monetizing relationship it is a young guy no nyame na dom no na Facebook no kushia broni oba bia wo 45 or 40 na so believe say obey we because broni oba na the end of the day on bisa ska on kase o chop money we hen ni momo we hen ne bundle asan ne ma me yare san nkwase asem no on bisa obi and met makacho peace of mind na bema bia den epe peace of mind na bema bia den ehwehwe you cannot force any Ghanaian man say na mo wo hono mu no mo nware you cannot tell Pate what was ade also here den or buy also fano because some ye papa and obi pe the papa and obi hu the papa on ja ho nkonko fa different color odoko de odowo but say mo no de no enye odo biem eye de sika be be sika wona ono body ne ko ho nothing to do with love 80% of Ghanaian ladies Gen Z for ye bay who can pay more why ne betumetua more now ababe bra ne nam di amount asa nothing like love nothing so be woko adwuma bo be bisa say woko adwuma mti sen na say kwan be so ne be fa so na ebia asase ye betuma to asase depi koto pizza mano ne kranti say asase pepes wachi pizza no ekura na obeka asase pizza na ye pizza man ni we ojima ne kura de na je say woku ni kura oni umedi nkomo bia efa mo daache ho da na okwa akofo broni oba yeti udi broni oba gina bibini oba gina Ghana ni ba gina memefo broni me can me for bruni because wo na wo bibini na wo gina ho no majuma sai a wo be ka che afikura na oba be kire me miso enyama nko yi a wo ba be kire mase obroni no way unya show no love wo show no loyalty even if some pe obi mo be mo wate on pe obi mo be mo wa ya we clear so onye don pe obi ono be transfer che say da bi chale obi amfa the way but we no kwabrane wa ware ne 12 years no obi di ne 10 years wa ware now ne 12 years no obi so di na 10 years eti obi wo ha oni akoma be sa de no that is the point eti yesremo patedi na I'm telling you sir it is even possible sir but judges can call say they should charge him and put Mufane court no sign it. I don't know how that works, but it is possible like that. Because all body in a man for rape. I mean, I remember some my bantam crofo on Twitter. So mo yes or a rapist near the other. Or kono or sign it here. Or be fun when me need doubt to be also be sign it. Because I guess we mono ye ni musani omo yo omo nyamafa. And my mama example Mendy se munim na black man bisa no so Man City 3 years odi quarter kwaniaba sa quarter kwaniaba and UK court no 1 hour lawyers no mo charge 1 hour enya Ghana dey oba quarter na wa man transportation no 500 cedis 1000 no dey kono we every hour be or best spending e wo case no bia court is oba na say 3 hours you pay obetua na 3 hours 5 hours obetua na 5 hours hours no mudi adwuma enye ya hanum day obi akọ 3 good years almost say boy ni carry anka boy ni ye World Cup winner but maybe o madwen say e be kan enwa bom ni abrena se ampa so mo brena se it is say party ex wom ni saa 2 ladies na ka ho no enso eya ne namfofo ni ade obeka se omo ba party na party omo ba party won resident and a party ye den ekoye saa iti pate issue no yeso ye dia ye be de ye beka e dia fa ho no ti so betumi de wo de aba comment section na so wa kire wa na bibia tumi akoye muma yembo meme de me bet ne da so rane nti mo options bi wo ho na
ochina ne ba be mom order kese pound FIFA Club World Cup no
all right nti nyame adom na adom ya